Okay, welcome to the main section of today's podcast. I've already introduced my guests, but I will introduce them once again in person. Hello, Rebekka Louise. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much
How,
for having me.
Not a problem at all. How are you today?
Good, I'm feeling very good. I'm excited to do this. Yeah, how are you?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, and I'm also excited to speak to you because this is the second episode of some one-offs that I'm doing during a podcast break, and we actually organised this before my break began, and I just felt like I had to interview you because we've actually met before because I've seen you live, and I enjoyed your music so much and went home and listened and everything, and I thought, yes, we have to make sure this definitely does happen even if I am on a break. So I definitely thought we need to get this one done. So yeah, I want to start off by asking the question I ask every guest, and sometimes it's easier than others to answer for guests, but it is a good question to introduce people to your sound before we go ahead. So what genre would you say best describes your music?
Ooh, tricky. Oh, not I guess. I would say my earlier releases they tend to go more into alternative pop, a little bit electronic pop, but more the pop realm. The latest things, it's a folk pop. It's not necessarily something I've labeled it as myself, but that's what I've heard people call it. So it's a bit more acoustic, a bit more folky, but with a little bit of that pop sound still.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I saw you live, I saw you at the Wildflower Sessions, which is a night that's put on by another guest of mine called Peen, who is fantastic in her own right as well. And that's a sort of an Americana night as well. And obviously, folk is well part of Americana, isn't it? So it fits in kind of in so many different facets of genre, I guess, which makes obviously your music quite accessible for people, I'd imagine. I do also have another question to ask yourself, because you are not from the UK, of which is the country you are residing in, but can I well, I can say let the viewers know where you are from as well.
Yes, I'm from Norway. I'm from the capital, Oslo. So I'm assuming, yeah, Northern Europe for anyone who doesn't know.
I do have listeners in Norway, by the way, so it's funny actually. I have guests come on from different countries, and it's always nice when I can say that I've got listeners in a country that somebody's from as well, which is always nice because it has happened when I can't say that because there's some countries I haven't yet breached. So yeah, it's nice to say that. When I speak to artists, I like to go chronologically, so I go from the start and work my way through. So again, another question that I usually always ask is what was playing in the household when you were growing up? What music were you first sort of hearing?
Ooh, ABBA. That's a standard response. My mom was such a, I guess, 80s music fan, and ABBA just in general was on repeat. I grew up with ABBA. Yeah.
I guess, I mean, it's funny because obviously you're in the UK now, and the UK has a real relationship with sort of Europop, which is very different to the relationship that it has over there. I think in Europe it feels more like a celebration of joy and fun, whilst over here it's kind of a breeding ground for football chants and things. But they bring people together during World Cups and things like that, so it becomes that sort of joyful experience, doesn't it, for a lot of these songs?
It does. At least it has a purpose, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, other than it being fantastic music as well, we should say that. But yeah, so when did you start forming your own sort of musical interests then, and start listening to your own music?
Music has been kind of like a lifelong, I guess, passion of mine. My mom's a classical singer, so it kind of,
Okay.
yes, I've kind of been spoon-fed music from a very young age.
Yeah.
So I would say, I wouldn't even know. I used to do more classical music when I was young, so that's obviously a bit more strict and in certain boxes.
Yeah.
So when I was probably around 14, I started exploring more with my own musical style. But yeah, so around that age. But I've always been very fond of music. I used to love as a child. I don't know if you listened to it, but Manu Chao in Spanish. That was one of my big favorites when I was very young. And I always loved just music I can dance to. So anything that's popular, upbeat, I would always be a big fan of growing up. Yeah.
See, what fascinates me about what you said there, and this is a common theme that comes up on the podcast, and it's purely it's kind of out of jealousy in my part, because you grew up in a musical household, and as somebody who is the musical part of the household myself,
Mhm.
I didn't grow up in a musical household. So tell me what that's like to grow up just around music and musicians, I guess.
Oh, it's just it becomes so natural, so I wouldn't even know how to explain what it's not. Because to me, I've always had
Mm,
music. It's kind of like there's always someone singing in the house. There's always an instrument
yeah.
playing. Yeah, my brother played the trumpet when he was younger, so there was always something going on at all time. It's very nice. It's very soothing. I think music is such a it's something we all use it as a way to, I guess, relax or feel things. So always having that music around makes the environment
Mm,
feel very comfortable at all times. I think that's for me the biggest thing. It feels always very comforting to have music, and that's kind of what it feels like growing up with music.
yeah. Well, that's yeah. To me, something you said there kind of brings to a point of, it's that idea where expressing yourself is something that's encouraged.
Mm.
Whilst for many non-musical households, it's suppressing yourself is kind of encouraged rather than expressing yourself, isn't it? I think in many times. So I guess it's a really healthy way to grow up, I guess, isn't it?
Yes, no, for me it was great. It was always lovely. Like when I first started writing music, I was around 14. Like I'd always
Mm.
write it and then I'll run downstairs to my mom, take out the guitar and be like, listen to this, mom. So
So
yes, especially since she could relate to the music aspect of
yeah.
it, which was
So
always great.
again, you started playing then as a teenager.
I did. Or I've played the cello since I was about 8, and I've gone
Mm.
to like, music kindergartens and all of that.
Yeah.
But I started playing the guitar and the piano around 14. And that's kind of around the same age I started exploring lyrics and writing things as well. Yeah.
So what were you predominantly coming up with at the time? I'm not actually going to ask something here, which is kind of jumping ahead, but not. Did any of the music from then ever carry forward and ever get released or anything, or has it ever been reworked as well?
I have released 2 of the songs I wrote
Oh,
when I was.
really?
I did. It's my 2 first releases. So One Step
Oh,
Ahead and Punching Bag. They're all from back in the day.
oh, fair.
I think when I was that age, I don't know, I was just be a teenager. It was more about, I guess, exploring love. You always feel like
Mm.
you have a crush on someone, and then it's like all that the uncomfortable stuff, and then like, do they like you? Do they not? And then you get mad, and all of those, yeah, all of those confusing feelings of being 15. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's something. This is actually I've obviously gone through chronologically with 100+ artists now, or around that now, and one thing I've never asked or never spoken about is actually when writing at such an impressionable age, let's say. Obviously, as you grow up, you have this sort of nuanced and introspective look on complex emotions, right? Because you've gained experience. But back then, I guess as a teenager, and I started writing myself as a teenager as well, for a bit of context, it is kind of that raw emotion, isn't it? It's so sort of I guess visceral might be a word for it, maybe. But yeah, it really is just that raw emotion, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's very dramatic.
Yeah, yeah, because it's the highs and the lows are so far apart from each other, aren't they? It's because you haven't gained the experience to hone it in and protect yourself, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you start then actually releasing music or playing live, depending on what came first? When did you start doing that?
Live definitely came first. I was
Mhm.
probably around 16, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I was part of this very cool organization back in Oslo that it was supporting just young artists in general in any form, like poetry,
Yeah.
breakdance, whatever you wanted to do. And I managed to be a part of it, and they put on lots of shows and gigs
Mm.
throughout Oslo and festivals a lot. So that started with them, and then I only started releasing music in 2020 when I was 20 years old. It
Mm.
took quite a while. It's quite hard, especially, I think I didn't fully know how to even begin.
Yeah.
I didn't know any producers. I didn't know anyone who actually made music.
Mm.
So I figured, okay, I'm gonna have to do it myself. But I
Yeah.
obviously didn't know how to do that either. So it took quite a while until
Yeah.
I learned, and I had the courage to. It's really scary to release. Like now it's a lot more comfortable because I've done it so many times, but in the beginning it's a very scary thing. So it took quite a while before I even built up the courage to publish that first song, because I didn't even know about mixing and mastering really back then. It was like I was very much winging the whole process.
It's genuinely right. I mean, I had a conversation with someone last night, and this is something that people don't tell you for independent artists and independent music, is that you know, if you don't know what to Google to find out more, you don't know what to search. So you wouldn't know to search up ISRC codes, and you wouldn't know to search up, I didn't even know mastering was different to mixing until last year when I was recording my music. It's mad, isn't it? Like,
there's so much behind it, and then in a way only half of the work is done by the time the song is actually released, because then you have all the marketing and everything that comes. Like making the song is one thing, you have to get people to listen to it as well. Which is a whole new monster to tackle.
Definitely. I mean, I mean, and there's so many different techniques of doing that as well now, because it's not just the traditional methods. You've now got the TikTok technique, which is, abandon in many ways the traditional methods and just constantly post. There's multiple ways people can do it now. So I get it. It's a bit of a minefield in many ways, because you've got to decide what works best for you as well.
It is. And I think it's so easy to, in a way, forget that, especially as an independent artist, is that it's a whole business, the music industry. There's so many things that lays behind the release of a song, and doing it by yourself is a lot of work. Like 20 people would probably normally do it, and here you are doing it by yourself.
Exactly. I mean, we talk about, there's a great contrast with sport right now, actually, because obviously sport is becoming more and more a money process, right? And more of a business model. And people say it's happening with the music industry, but at the same time, in the way it's happened with the music industry, it's also become way more accessible to release music.
It has.
You wouldn't have been able to release music 30 years ago without a record deal, even with an indie label, and there weren't so many of them around even. But now you don't have to have a label. You can just go out and just release it for, it costs what? To get DistroKid, for example, is what, 60 quid a year to have a premium account, I think, which isn't even the cheapest, and about £1.50 or something, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm going to get the figures wrong. I know it cost me £12 to put out a £10 10-track album. So put it that way, it's not much money when it comes down to that per year, really, is it? So it's so accessible now, isn't it?
No, it really is, and I think that's great. And I think that's also what I realized, because I think back when I was 16 and wanted to start releasing music, I was like, how would I even begin with trying to get like a record deal? Because that's the only way I would think of having that music released. But now I'm like, okay, you don't even need that. You can just find a distributor that you like and think works for you, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And we need to talk about your music now, and we'll get into some of the individual tracks and things in a bit. But I do want to ask, who are your influences in terms of artists, and the sounds they make and the way they write, etc.? Who are your influences there?
Who are my influences? I think in recent years, I've loved Gracie Abrams. And her, I think, especially with my newer tracks now, I think I've had a lot of influence from her on that, in terms of writing, like the style of writing and how like the songs are structured. I think when I was young, I guess as cliche as it may sound, I was the biggest Swiftie ever. So I'm sure my way of writing and my music style has been shaped in some way from that. That's kind of, as a teenager and 10-year-old kids, that's the artist I looked up to. I think with my previous album, I tried to be a bit more like alternative. I took a lot of inspiration from The Neighborhood. I think they have some great like alternative sounds. Same with like Arctic Monkeys, like that. I loved those. I get influences from everywhere. It's hard to say sometimes. I think I've touched on some of the main ones.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You can get influence in terms of sound, in terms of lyric, in terms of structure, in terms of also, attitude as well is another thing, like the attitude of certain artists can just influence the way you do things. It can be in terms of, an aggressive attitude, but it can also be in terms of a graceful attitude. It can be any of those kind of things. So it's not just the musical part of it. There's also the, everything around the music as well that adds to the package, the brand, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely, yeah. I think I've also, I don't know if you've heard of Aurora, the Norwegian
Yeah.
artist. Absolutely love her. I think her productions are absolutely amazing. There's so many interesting, especially in like the drum and percussion stuff.
Yeah.
I've taken lots of inspiration from.
Yeah, she came up on a playlist for me not that long ago. That's how I know about her. She came up on a playlist. I was just randomly going through some playlists because sometimes I just get a bit bored and sit on Spotify and just find stuff just to see if anything sticks. And she was on one of the playlists. That's how I know. So that's where she popped up. I do need to dig a bit deeper into her music though, because I've only listened to the one track and I can't even remember the name of it because I just listened to it and sort of chucked it into my playlist for later and haven't gone back to it yet. So, but it's in there, ready to go. But yeah, no. I also want to speak to you about your songwriting and what goes into that. So when you write, do you find that you write about anything that's kind of like any reoccurring themes, or are there themes that you like to write about more than others, or do you just kind of go where the wind sort of takes you?
I think I like to write about things that feel very human, like feelings that maybe aren't maybe talked about that much. I'm not necessarily too into writing about love in the terms of romantic relationships. That's not necessarily something I'm very into, but I love writing about like dynamics in just different relationships. That can be friends, I don't know, within family, and kind of all of what emotions all of these relationships can bring up, really. I think that's what I would like my music to do and talk about, is one, maybe feelings we don't talk about too much, be that mental health or anything like that, but also just in general, like we all humans, we feel things and it's not always pretty. In a way, like our feelings, they're complex, weird, they're strange. And so I write music about all of those.
That's something I notice when listening to your music is that there's a lot of diversity in the songwriting, and I notice that the way you write is really interesting because you don't, as you say, it's not just romantic, and a lot of people try and write about different relationships and scenarios and mask it up into some kind of romance song because the romance becomes relatable for people, right? But you don't hide away from that, and I think that actually for me makes it more relatable because I'm a writer. I want to say I'm into writers as well. Like writers that songwriters appreciate is really my jam. That's what I'm trying to say, right? That's what I like. So I can really appreciate that side of your songwriting a lot, and I think that's where it resonates so well, if that makes sense. And that comes across quite a lot on your album. We will talk about the latest single as well soon. But I do want to talk about Shame Is an Old Friend. I have to talk about this album. It's fantastic. And it's where I first listened to you because I'm an album person. So when obviously I left the the Wildflower sessions, I went home, downloaded your album. Then when I got to it, I put it on. And I've put it on several times since. And it's a fantastic piece of work. It gets better the more you listen. Huge congratulations on it. Obviously it's now 2 years old, coming up to very soon as well, but there's a couple of tracks on it that I want to talk about specifically. But can you tell me about how the album just came around first and how it sort of came to be?
So it's I guess it's my master's thesis. Like first
okay.
So I did my master's in music production, and I really wanted to kind of talk about, or I just feel in general mental health isn't talked a lot about lyric wise within music. It's not necessarily something you find very widely in popular music, and I wanted to kind of explore mental health and the effect it has on different relationships. So yeah, probably listening to the whole album is kind of like, how would someone who's struggling, how would it be to be in a relationship with them? How is it to be the daughter of someone struggling? How is it to be the best friend? All of these very complex feelings. And then, yeah, I just spent that whole year exploring. I did quite a lot of research into, because obviously it was a master's degree, into mental health and all of those aspects of it. And the album is the result of that.
Yeah, well, it's come out absolutely fantastically from that as well. And there's a couple of tracks that I want to talk to you about. I think both of them highlight something different about your music and songwriting as well. The first one I want to ask you about is probably one that I think kind of sums up your canon of music quite well, as in, you know, this is kind of, if you want the Rebekka Louise sound, this is the sound to go to. There's like good introduction songs to your music before you branch out into all the different facets of it. And it's a song called Let Me Hold You, which is the second track on the album. Can you tell me more about that song and what it's all about?
I can. I actually like that you brought that one up, because I feel like it's a song that's overlooked. If I can say that. I think this song very much came from so it's written from the perspective of someone who's watching someone they love quietly like disappear into themselves. And it's kind of like that desperation of, you see like the person that you love the most in the world is like struggling so much and just falling apart, and you're trying to reach them, but they're kind of like just stepping away from you. And it's kind of like that's kind of like running after them, but you're running through, I don't know, water or mud, and you just they're just always slipping right through your fingers. But all you want to do is just give them a hug and tell them it's gonna be okay. Like, please don't go. But you just never able to get to that point.
It's that example of, and I've been through it again with friends and things, is when they're not quite ready for you to be there for them, if that makes sense, isn't it? And it's about finding a way to help them to see that they can be ready, and it's fine to be ready as well. And that's the thing. It's one of those where it's like, again, I just said there an experience, I've had a similar experience. It's so relatable, isn't it? And you don't mask it in any way. It does, you know, you say it as it is, but in such a beautifully nuanced way as well. You know, it's not a song that's so literal. It's got its metaphor and everything, but you know, you do say the message is there and very easy to see if someone wants to do a deep dive into the lyrics. And I want to talk about another song as well on the album, which I find absolutely fascinating, this song. The name of the song is fascinating in and of itself. You might be able to figure out which one it might be. But also it's fascinating because it's got a much more, for me anyway, it sounds like it's got a more pop production than a lot of your music as well. And it's a song called Shut Up. So can you tell us more about that one? Because I just find it a fascinating song. So
I think that song came for me as a response to, obviously when people are struggling, you want to be mindful of that. And mental health and depression, anxiety, all of that is it can be very crippling to live with. And if you struggle with all of these things, it can be very, very hard to kind of put all of those internal conflicts that you have aside. And I very much think you should always be mindful and respectful of that. But I think this song kind of came as I also think now that there's so much talk about mental health in media, and so it's quite I would say more an acceptable thing to speak of, and people aren't like afraid and concealing it as much. I feel like it also comes as I'm acting this way because I've got whatever. So it's like, it kind of came as just because you're struggling doesn't mean you're allowed to abuse someone else kind of a situation. So you can take it how you want to take it, but it was kind of a response to that, being like, I'm sorry you're struggling, but don't be mean to me because of it, in a way.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like it's setting boundaries with people, isn't it?
It's saying that you are also allowed to like you have to look after yourself as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you are allowed to tell someone what you're doing right now is not okay, and it's not
Yeah.
okay no matter who you are. In a way, abuse is abuse, no matter the why someone does it, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
that's
100%.
what the song is.
No, and that's the thing. This is it's part of the conversation that doesn't get spoken about so much. Is also, you know, we always speak about being there for other people, and we all want to be there for other people as well, because we all want to make sure that the people in our lives that we care about are doing well, are feeling okay, and are healthy, etc. But we can't do that at the expense of ourselves as well, and that's what's really important. So yeah, again,
This,
it's
I guess, an extreme reaction to that.
well, but at the same time as well, it's you know, it's that raw sort of emotion of it all, isn't it? It's the raw reaction, right? And yeah,
it's the reaction, I guess.
Yes, exactly. And again, it's just one of those songs where, again, you show that you know, it's a relationship song, but a completely unique relationship song, because it's not a relationship that gets spoken about so much. Is that when someone you know is struggling, but you also have to set your boundaries with them and make sure that, you know, you're okay, and things that just doesn't get sung about too much, does it?
No, it's I think that's also something I wanted to do with this album, is also put the light on, in a relationship where someone is struggling, there's also a struggle from that other person in a way. Like there is a give and take in these relationships, and it's very it's a very tough, I think, being also on the other side and seeing and kind of trying to relate and also look after yourself in these decisions, because it's very difficult to put those boundaries, and you don't necessarily know, be like, okay, when do you say enough is enough? Where's the line?
Yeah, you're right. It's because sometimes putting boundaries onto people feels harsh, especially when you're not yet struggling, but you can see that if you don't put the boundaries in, it might cause a problem down the line. It feels harsh, but it has to be done, I'm afraid, and that's the important part of it, I guess. I need to speak about your latest single as well, which is my favorite song of yours. And I'm not just saying that because it is the newest. It genuinely is my favorite song that you've put out. I love this tune. It's called The Bigger Guy. And this came out now about 4 months ago. Can you tell the audience all about that song, please? Because I think it's fantastic. I also want to say, actually, I love the artwork for this song as well, the single artwork. It's I love it. It's great. Anyway, can you tell the audience?
Thank you. Well, the single artwork was shot in my living room, so I'm glad it's approved.
That's just, well, if anything, it shows how, you know, accessible the music industry can be, and how you can make incredible pieces of work from anywhere. So
no, I think this song for me is also one of my favorites. I tried to, I guess, almost strip it back a little bit. So it's the first time I've used acoustic guitar, which felt very vulnerable to me. I think also a bit nostalgic, because I went back to my roots, I guess. I obviously started writing music on the guitar, and I brought that back with this song, which to me was very special. I think this is a song where I'm always very honest in my lyrics, and I like to just say it as it is. What are the consequences, in a way? But with this one, I think I tried to cut very deep with this one. I wanted this one to hurt, because I feel like this is I think it's a bit a song, I guess, following from the album in a way thematically. It's that moment where I think we've all been there, like you've told to suck it up, just tolerate someone's behavior. They are that way because of blah, 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 blah. And that you're always told to, even if it hurts you so much, you're told to just be like, you're a better person than this. You can, because you're a better person, you should just get over it. And this song is that moment where it's like, I can't. You just can't do it anymore. Like, only so much your body can take and your mind can take after being always told to suck it up and put on a smile. And I kind of wanted this song, it's kind of, if you hear it in the piano, it's kind of a bit to symbolize kind of like an organ in a church during a funeral. It's kind of what I wanted to. So I wanted this like whole song to be a journey of the person just, okay, they accepted their fate in a way, like, okay, this is just how it's going to be, but I've had enough. And then it's their journey of slowly like withering away until gone. Because
well, it's that it's that wall, isn't it, that's put up, and eventually if you keep pushing it and keep battering it, eventually it has to crumble and fall, right? Because it's going to lose all of its structural integrity, and that's what the song's all about. And I think one of the reasons I was drawn so much to it is not only can, I think everyone's been through an example of that in their life, but also I think for me it's being someone who's a massive fan of Americana music and folk music, and and even country, alternative country, etc. It's that, as you say, you stripped it back, and it's the use of the analog instruments being used, and I think that allows the lyrics to come through so much as well, because of that. So it's really quite a poignant song in that way, because I think it's really hard to miss what you're singing about, right?
Yes, it's very to the point.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I want to say a huge congratulations on The Bigger Guy. Is a fantastic tune, and people should go and check it out if they haven't already. I want to ask you a question that I don't ask very often, but I'm always very proud of the fact that I have this question ready to go for people. And I only ask it to people when I think they're from somewhere that is either musically significant or just, quite frankly, interesting to me. And because you are my first Norwegian guest, I feel like I have to ask this question. Whether you have an answer for it or not, I don't know. But the question is, obviously, you're from Norway. Do you find that a sense of place, the place affects your music? Does that have any effect on your music as such? I always find it's an interesting question. Always find this interesting. Some people say yes, some people say no, and so do you find it has an impact on your music?
Oh wow, I think this is a tricky one, because obviously all the music I've written, I guess in my adult years, I've been here in the UK because I've been here for so long. I think almost maybe yes, but in a very strange way. So I've never written really songs in Norwegian, but for some reason in the UK it felt right to do that.
Okay.
So it's a weird one. I had to leave Norway in order to write music in Norwegian. So I think almost removing myself from home kind of influenced me to write about it more.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an interesting, I guess, take on it.
Well,
and I think definitely it's influenced my lyrics in terms of themes that come up, like how does it feel to move away when you're young? How does that affect the friendships that you had and the people you now no longer see? So like thematically, definitely.
Yeah.
I
mean, I 100% relate with you there, because I moved away for a few years from London and then moved back, and when I moved away from London, I didn't realize how much I loved London. I always wanted to move away, and I didn't realize how much I loved it. And then when I moved back, I started getting nostalgic for the place that I moved away to, even though I was missing London so much when I was there, and I didn't quite enjoy being away. So I was a bit like, it's weird. It does, in hindsight, you start seeing what you do miss, and if you go back to these places, I'm sure you live that life much better than the way you did before. But yeah, I relate to that. I totally get what you mean by that, and I'm glad I asked that question, because I got a nice answer. Yeah, I don't get to ask it very often, so it is nice to ask. So you play live, and you play live, I'm assuming, a lot in London. Can you tell us more about the live experience of seeing Rebekka Louise live?
Oh, I think that's a very intimate experience. It's I normally do it all acoustic, and it's just me. So I feel like it's a very taking the songs back to what they were originally when they were written. So it's I try to make it's more of a relaxed, intimate, but still very, I don't know, like personal experience. I think you very much can listen to the lyrics and the core of the song. So I love a good production. I love to produce. So a lot of my songs have quite a lot of production elements in it. But if it's a live show, it's kind of more just about the song, and the song just speaks a bit for itself. Yeah.
And You know what? Because well, you know that I'm on the gigging scene in London, and there's a huge market for that. There's loads of people who like to go and watch singer songwriters, and some of my favorite gigs are the ones where I'm watching singer songwriters, and it's amazing watching a whole room being captivated by one
Mm.
person with their guitar and just that song. It is incredible to watch that, and I got to see that when I saw yourself live as well. And yeah, I can say, I don't always get to say this on the podcast. I can say what you say there about your live performance is true. So it is purely about the songs, and people listen and sit and listen to the songs, and kind of follow on your every move. Basically, it's a great experience to watch. So we need to talk about what's coming up in the future for Rebekka Louise as well. Is there anything? I don't know the answer to this, by the way. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Is there anything in the pipeline for Rebekka Louise?
It is. I got the mix for the master actually for my newest release last week.
Oh,
yes. So I'm working on, I don't know yet, an EP or an album. Let's see where it goes. So it's following the same thread of the bigger guy. It's more stripped back productions, I would say. But yeah, I don't know when it's going to come out. End of April, maybe. Who knows? We'll have to see. But yeah, it's I can say it's called Everything I Don't Want to Be. And it's about all these expectations that we feel people have for us at all times, and kind of crumbling under these expectations. Be like, I can't do it. Be like, I don't know how to be this person that you think I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, well, looking forward to that. And if it is end of April, that actually really isn't that far away when you think about it. It seems like it might be, but it really isn't that far away. So it's coming very soon. So hopefully we'll get to hear that very soon. I'm looking forward to it now that I know about it. So can you tell obviously we'll wrap up after we do this, but can you tell the audience where they can find your music and also find you online as well, Rebekka?
Oh, yes, of course. So my music is everywhere you listen to music, I suppose. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube. I think some of it is on SoundCloud if people are there as well. I should be a bit better with uploading it there, actually. I'm not the best. But some of it is there. And you can find me, again, it's all, I think, Rebekka Louise on all social media. I think on Instagram it's Rebekka.Louise with 2 E's. Because the other ones were taken.
Well, I will I'll be putting a load of social media handles and links and things down below in the description, so people can find it that way. It's in the description of both video and audio versions of the podcast, so people can go and scroll down there nice and easy to find it. Now Rebekka, I want to say a huge thank you for coming on to Music Fishbowl. As I say, I will wrap up with you afterwards, but I just want to say once again a huge thank you. I'm really looking forward to the new release coming out as well.
Thank you so much. No, thank you for having me. It's been really, really nice.
No problem at all. It's been great. Thank you.
Thanks so much.